The South Alabama Jaguars got flat out screwed. It's Locked On Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Today's episode brought to you by the all-new 2025 Nissan Armada. Stay with us for the Armada Team of the Week later in the episode. All right, Arkansas State is playing in the NIT, and Butler is expected back for UK versus Troy. We will get into that. Line seems to have been pretty steady since it dropped. We'll get into that a little bit. We'll also get into the moaning and groaning and whining about seeding. Not so much with the Sun Belt, but we'll get into that a little bit. So it was Monday. I was working, and we found out South Alabama got screwed. I was going to mention something about why isn't South Alabama in the NIT, and then I realized they didn't. They tied. It was, remember, South Alabama, Arkansas State, JMU, and Troy. Well, Troy won the Sun Belt Conference, so they're going to the NCAA tournament. Turns out Arkansas State did get into the NIT. JMU did not. And then where was South Alabama? Well, something was up because the CBI came out, and UC Riverside seemed to be in the CBI and the NIT. And that's where our issue was. And I'm going back with Kara Ritchie with Arkansas State should be in the NIT because you get these Power 4 teams that don't want to play in the NIT because they're not. The NIT is below them. Not to mention some of these teams should not be, invited to the NIT. All right. I believe like LSU turned down the NIT. LSU stinks, right? Among others. LSU is 3-15. They're 14-18. They're bad. I know they played in the best conference. What do you got? 13 teams in the SEC going to the NCAA tournament. They're not the only ones who got pulled in. Or maybe it was 14 teams going into the NCAA tournament. South Carolina was offered. They turned it down. And that's why I thought, instead of offering somebody like that a chance to play and turning them down, just offer Arkansas State. They'll definitely want to go and play in the NIT because they'll have a chance to win it. And in this case, and I'll give you an example of the only time that I have ever, speaking of LSU, that I've ever suggested that a coach needs to be fired. And that's not my thing. I don't suggest when a coach should be fired, mostly because I don't want people to want to fire me, was the Ben Simmons year, and it did not go as planned. Started out okay, but it did not go as planned at the end. They were banged up. They were sick. And they weren't big. The players were not big fans of Ben Simmons, but that's a whole different story. Anyways, they got blown out in the SEC tournament first round. And they're not going to make the NCAA tournament, so Ben Simmons is going to play in the NIT. So there's no Ben Simmons. And they were going to be a little bit shorthanded if they played in the NIT, but they had enough players to play. But then Johnny Jones said, we're not playing. Well, I thought that was bad because anytime you have a chance to play in the NIT, and some of these guys, it's going to be their last chance to play college basketball, and some of them haven't played a whole lot of college basketball, so let them play. I thought Johnny Jones quit. And that's what these guys are doing, right? If you're invited to play, go play. I don't think they should have been invited to play, but that's a different story. So now we get to UC Riverside. UC Riverside was paying to play in the CBI and wanted to play in the NIT. The CBI, I'm not sure, should be around much longer. The CBI was useful back in the day. The Cajuns went a couple of times. The women's actually won it maybe a couple of times. But it's not useful anymore because your teams are different. Before, you'd want to get some games in and some more practice in to build some, just to play some more. And especially if your team was young. And I think that's what Cajuns men did a couple of times. And again, the women's actually won the thing, I think, twice. But now there's no real reason to do that because the teams turn over. Now, the NIT is different because now you can go actually win a pretty good tournament. The problem with the CBI is you have to pay to play. That's ridiculous. Okay, so now we get to where South Alabama got screwed. All right. Apparently, UC Riverside was going to the CBI, and the powers to be, which include, wait for it, Keith Gill of the Sun Belt, told Richie Riley, "You're in the NIT." Richie Riley says, "We are? Yes. I can tell my players? Yes." An hour later, they said, "Oops, no, we're not." So this is what happened. I didn't load it up. I have to read it. Unfortunately, I was going to put it on the screen. Let me see. As the top remaining at-large team not selected to the original field, South Alabama was prematurely contacted by the NIT on Sunday as a potential replacement team to fill out the 32-team bracket. They weren't prematurely. They were contacted. With all 32 teams accepting their NIT invitations, this opportunity did not materialize. That's a bunch of bull. We regret the emotional impact this chain of events had on South Alabama student athletes and want to congratulate Sunbelt Coach of the Year Richie Riley and his team on a historic season, including a Sunbelt regular season co-championship. That's, as it turns out, crap. All right. This is South Alabama's reaction. We are disappointed that the NIT prematurely, their words, extended an invitation to our men's basketball team to participate in this year's tournament before confirming a spot was available. This was an avoidable situation that has made a negative impact on our student athletes and coaches. So we appreciate and acknowledge the NIT's apology. It is unfortunate that this invitation was taken away from our program, but what will not be taken away is the 2025 Sun Belt Conference Champions banner that will forever hang in the Mitchell Center. This team should be remembered for its incredible accomplishments on and off the court that resulted in our first regular season championship in 17 years, led by Sun Belt Coach of the Year, Richie Riley, Dr. Joel Urban. Okay. So UC Riverside was playing both sides. They wanted to make sure they were going, so they accepted a bid to the CBI, but we're waiting for the NIT. And apparently they told the NIT we had to wait, which I don't understand. But at that point in time, when the NIT found out they were being put on hold and they already extended to South Alabama, when they called UC Riverside back, they should have said, "Sorry, we extended it. Too late." Who cares about UC Riverside? Don't care. You lost it. You snooze, you lose. You accepted a bid to the CBI. Keith Gill should have said, "All right, sorry, my Sunbelt team took your bid. You wanted to wait. You wanted a bid to the NIT, but you accepted to the CBI. Go to the CBI." Too bad. That's what should have happened. South Alabama got screwed royally. All right. This absolutely could have been avoided. A, they should have just waited. But B, after the ball got rolling, after Richie Riley was told to tell his players we're going to the NIT, they should have rescinded the offer to UC Riverside. Would UC Riverside have been screwed? Sure. But it wouldn't have been the NIT who screwed UC Riverside. UC Riverside would have screwed themselves. That's different. Now, and Keith Gill doesn't look great because Keith Gill is the one who should have stood up for the Sun Belt and South Alabama, and it does not look great at all. Somewhere along the way, they should have stood up for the Sun Belt, and they did not. And South Alabama got screwed because South Alabama is the kind of team, if you haven't played them, they're tough to play. They're tough to play. And it's really too bad that they didn't get a chance to play in the NIT. Really too bad. However, Arkansas State is playing in the NIT, and they may have a chance to do some damage. They are hosting. We'll talk about that next. after I tell you about Nissan and Fabric. The Armada Team of the Week is brought to you by our friends at Nissan and the all-new 2025 Nissan Armada. Each week, our Locked On college basketball experts are picking one team that stands apart from top-seeded stars to the unexpected upsets. These guys showcase the strength and sheer power needed to push their team forward. This week's Armada and clear-cut Team of the Week is the Florida Gators. The Gators, led by Walter Clayton, 17 points a game, just dominated the SEC tournament, winning each game by at least 9 points. Not only did Florida grab the fourth number one seed, but they are the nation's most efficient offense. When it comes to the Nissan Armada, they say go forth and conquer, and that's exactly what the Florida Gators have done. It's clear that our Team of the Week is out here ready to conquer the road ahead with confidence, just like you can in the all-new Nissan Armada or any of the Nissan's outstanding vehicles. Take the Nissan Armada, Rogue, or Pathfinder and go find your next big adventure. Shop NissanUSA.com. And Factor. Life moves fast, especially when you have a family. One day you're watching your kids take their first steps, and before you know it, they're off to college. That's why securing their future is so important. Fabric by Gerber Life makes it simple to get term life insurance that fits your family's needs. With Fabric, you can apply for term life insurance online right from your couch. You can be covered in under 10 minutes, and in many cases, no health exam is required. You can get $1 million in coverage for less than $1 a day, so protecting your loved ones doesn't have to break the bank. Fabric offers free digital wills and access to investment accounts to help you plan for your children's future. Join the thousands of parents who trust Fabric to help protect their families. Apply today in just minutes at meetfabric.com/lockedoncollege. That's meetfabric.com/lockedoncollege. Policies issued by Western Southern Life Assurance Company, not available in certain states. Prices subject to underwriting and health questions. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. All right, really happy that Arkansas State is playing in the NIT because, again, that's the kind of team that they very well could be motivated to play. A lot of these Power 4 teams are not necessarily motivated to play because they're disappointed they didn't get into they're disappointed they didn't get in to the big dance. Okay. So let's see where they are. Arkansas State is hosting St. Louis. Should they win, they will get North Texas. I presume, being the higher seed, that is at North Texas. Should Furman beat North Texas, I'm guessing Arkansas State is going to host again. All right. On the other side of the bracket, it is SMU out of the ACC, which is hilarious, and Oklahoma State, which, again, should not be in the tournament. They have screwed the NIT. There's no reason that 15 and 17 Oklahoma State should be in the NIT. It's just, it's ridiculous. The same goes for 15 and 19 San Jose State. You can't find teams with winning records. 17 and 16 Georgia Tech should not be in the NIT. They should not be. South Alabama and JMU should be in before 17 and 16 Georgia Tech. And I'm sure there's some other, I picked those two teams out because we do Locked On Sunbelt, but those are off the top of the head. I'm sure there's some other MAC teams that deserve to be in before those teams do. All right. I'm sure we can find some others. All right. So that game is game's tonight. Arkansas State is playing tonight, 9 p.m. I'm going to guess Eastern time. Yes, 9 p.m. Eastern time. So not working, so we may be able to cover see the first half anyways. Can actually wake up in the morning and do the episode. Don't have to do it at night because that game's gonna take a minute to wrap up. So it's going to be a minute before that game is over, post 11 o'clock. So we'll see what happens. So we'll see if Arkansas State can get motivated and make a run in the NIT. I do want to talk a little bit about the whining about the seeding, all right, in the NCAA. It doesn't have much to do with Lockdown Sunbelt, but it is a bunch of whining, all right? And I am going to go on with the whole I think there was Carrington Harrison on Sirius XM, and there were some others. I just can't get all that upset about Power 4 schools not making the NCAA tournament. All right, this is Murray State, not West Virginia, although West Virginia's colors. Nico Yanko, former Cajun assistant AD, now Murray State AD, hooked me up with this. Win more games, West Virginia. All right. Did Carolina get in because Bubba Cunningham is the chairman of the committee? Of course. All right. So this is a good lesson for West Virginia kids that life isn't fair. All right. That's the way I would take it. You can do everything right and things not go your way. Life is not fair. It's a good early lesson. Okay. Louisville probably was not seeded correctly. They probably should have been a 5 or a 6 seed. They got an 8 seed. You can complain a little bit. Kelsey did say it is what it is, but was a little bit hurt. I saw some women's coaches complaining about being a number 1 seed. Dawn Staley about the umpteen times South Carolina Gamecocks. We weren't the overall number 1 seed. We were the number 2 seed. We were the second number 1 seed. The USC coach is complaining about being the 4th number 1 seed. Are you kidding me? I remember back in my day when I was a kid, Lute Olson with Arizona would always complain about being a number 2 seed and then proceed to lose as a number 2 seed. You're complaining about, talk about where this generation of kids get the entitlement from. Louisville is not complaining about, Louisville, if they were, from an 8 seed, if you move to a 5 or 6 seed, that's moving up like 10 spots. The South Carolina and USC coaches are complaining about moving up 1 or 2. 1 or 2. Win the tournament. Don't complain about being the 1 seed overall or the 3rd or 4th seed overall. Come on. What are we doing? Jeez. That is some big time whining. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I know what the women's brackets look like, but I had to hear what the USC coach was talking about. And I know they've had a great season and, they got the 4th number 1 seed. You're complaining about getting the 4th number 1 seed? Jeez. That's impressive. Dawn Staley, same thing. We scheduled to get this and we had a tough schedule. She actually said if that's what we're going to do, we may schedule lighter. So we end up with a number 1 seed anyways. We just won't get the overall number 1 seed. Stop complaining about the seeding. All right. Although the seeding is not great, you can't, how does Louisville, you're penalizing Louisville for being in the ACC and giving them an 8 seed, and yet somehow Carolina gets in there. Can't have both, but yet they do. Anyways, really has nothing to do with lockdown. My 2 cents on the seeding and the whining. I'm sure Carolina and in this case, South Carolina women's and USC women's won't lose anytime soon, but Louisville got screwed because they got to play number 1 seed at Auburn, although home-ish game in Lexington, but they're not even going to make the Sweet 16, one would think. So anyways, off the high horse. All right. We got Troy And we got Kentucky. We got an update on one of the Kentucky players. We will talk about that next after I tell you about Upwork. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more, experts ready to help you take your business to the next level. Upwork gives businesses flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. Whether you need extra hands for a project for a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. Finding the right talent. If you need help with a marketing campaign, Upwork can connect you with a freelance expert who delivers incredible results. Posting a job is simple and free, and within a day, multiple qualified candidates to choose from. Instead of hiring full-time, Upwork helps find affordable top-tier freelancers to efficiently scale up your business. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That's UPWORK.com. Upwork.com to connect with top talent and grow your business today. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. All right. Admittedly, we do have Troy and Kentucky Friday. This is a Locked On Sunbelt, and I know a little bit about Louisville. I know a lot about teams in the Sunbelt, Cajuns, South Alabama, Troy, and a few others, Arkansas State. Not so much about Kentucky, as it turns out. I did not watch a lot of Kentucky. Know a little bit about Alabama because I followed them. And Auburn, as one of the guys at work, is a big Auburn fan. So I followed them. Also was down there in Alabama. Did not follow Kentucky. So I'm the first to admit I do not know a whole heck of a lot about Kentucky. So I appreciate the commenter who pointed out some things that I did not know. Others are making fun of me, which go ahead. I just don't know. We did see Mark Pope suggest that Lamont Butler is expected back. So he is expected back to play. So that was one of the guys who's banged up, and he is expected back. I still think the key to the game is defending the three and offensive rebounding. The line did not change. I will say that from what I saw. It did start out at 11.5. It went down to 10.5. Someone said they did see it at 10. I have not seen that yet, to be honest with you. I just saw it at 10.5. Is it down? I just seen it down to 10.5. So someone may have saw it at 10. I will say that one of the Kentucky fans who commented was not making excuses. I don't think that was describing what's expected, who's banged up, who's out, who is expected to come back. I think he mentioned Butler was out, so that's why Alabama did a number on them in the SEC tournament. But that Kentucky's a 3 seed, happy to be a 3 seed, and that he thinks that Troy is going to be close. We'll see. I think if Kentucky, let me see if we have stats here on what Kentucky averages 3-point per game. That's what I want to see. And how many does let's see, per ball game, does Troy have to keep them 3 points made? I mean, goodness gracious, they shoot 37%. They make 9.5 per game. So they obviously have to keep him under that. Can you keep him under 8? You're going to have a shot at that. Thing is, Troy just does not have any size, and Kentucky has size. That's the thing. Kentucky does have some size. Kentucky doesn't shoot a lot of free throws. That is interesting. They only shoot 16 free throws. It says free throws per game. Is that free throws? Well, that says free throws per game. Maybe that's free throws made. 16 free throws made per game is a lot. Maybe that's 16 free throws made. That may be a lot. I thought that may be attempted. They are, all right. They don't break it down. All right. So they're close to 10 threes per game. Obviously, Troy's going to have to keep that closer to 7, maybe less. All right. Kentucky starts getting into double digits. It's going to be a long day because then they'll be able to get it inside. And they'll be able to space it. And Troy's going to have to slow this thing down, right? Tate Connerway, this is going to be, rinse and repeat. He's going to have to control the ball game. And Troy's going to have to try and control this ball game, not only on defense, but on offense. They're going to have to do that South Alabama thing where they use all 30 seconds of the clock. And if they get an offensive rebound, don't shoot it back up there like Kentucky's going to. Use that extra 20 seconds. They want to shorten this game and have as few possessions as possible. I don't think they're going to, obviously, if they hold Kentucky into the 60s, they're going to have a shot at winning this ball game. If they hold Kentucky to less than 75, they're going to have a shot. Kentucky gets over 75, that's where it's going to be in trouble. All right. If Kentucky's hitting their average, they won't have a shot at winning. Forget covering. If they can hold Kentucky to less than 75 points, Troy's going to have a shot at winning this basketball game, I think. And obviously, if they hold them in the 60s, I would think they'd have a very good shot at winning. Kentucky is not that great defensively. The thing is, some of that is against Alabama. And while Kentucky is the number 5 team in the nation at offense, Alabama's number 1. So, and Auburn's going to be in their top scoring team as well. So, I still think it's a long shot. I don't think this is a great matchup for Troy. I was hoping for Wisconsin again, but it turns out Wisconsin has their best scoring team in a long time. But I was hoping for somebody who may be more defensive oriented, sort of like Tennessee. Like the Cajuns got a couple of years ago that were offensively challenged. They still won. Cajuns challenged them in the second half. Even Tennessee fans were like, hung on. All right. Tennessee got the benefit of a call late. I still think it was like a 3-point game at that time. But Cajuns made a run in that ball game. They made the Vols sweat. That's for sure. In that ball game. I think the Cajuns got into foul trouble in that game. They always seem to get in foul trouble. So we'll see if Tate Connerway and Troy can avoid that. All right. But the news of the day that I saw, maybe more news of the day, Lamont Butler is expected back for the Wildcats. Okay. We are expecting Lance Daw. Let me make sure I get this right. He is, it is locked on. Hold on. It is locked on UK. All right, you guys know that. I should know that, but it's locked compared to locked on Wildcats or locked on Kentucky. It's locked on UK. Okay, so we will have that episode sometime this week. We'll have a crossover episode. He'll fill me in on Kentucky just as much as he filling you guys in on it. All right. I don't think it's a great matchup for Troy, although I did see, again, Kentucky fans thinking that, and other people thinking that Troy is going to cover that double-digit spread. It'll be interesting to see what others think about that. All right. Arkansas State playing tonight. We wish them the best of luck. There is an outrage across sports media about what happened to South Alabama. Didn't see what should have happened, but I'm telling you what should have happened. Once UC Riverside accepted the bid to the CBI, Keith Gill and the NIT should have said, too bad, UC Riverside. You screwed yourselves. You wanted to make sure you got in to a postseason tournament. You accepted the berth to the CBI. We're rescinding your invitation to the NIT. Don't blame us. You wanted to guarantee yourselves into a tournament. You did. You're into the CBI. We gave your berth, your invitation to South Alabama. You can tell your players what you did. All right. And if you blame us, we'll tell your players what you did. And we'll tell the world what you did. That's what happened. All right. UC Riverside got greedy because Keith Gill and the Sun Belt and the NIT didn't have any spine. They didn't tell UC Riverside what they should have done. And UC Riverside ends up getting away with it. All right. And all they could do was some lame apology to Richie Riley and the South Alabama Jaguars. That's unfortunate. All right. That is unfortunate. All right. Thank you for listening and watching. All right. Any more information from UK fans? I'm all ears. All right. It is very ironic. Usually I watch a lot of Kentucky basketball. I am here in Louisville. Certainly watched a bunch of Louisville basketball. My nephew is a Cardinals fan, but that should not have stopped me from watching Wildcats basketball. Very ironic. But I guess I only have so much RAM. I just didn't watch a whole lot of Kentucky basketball this year. It is what it is. All right. Thank you very much for tuning in. We'll continue to preview Troy and Kentucky. We got some not Cajuns baseball, but we have some Sun Belt baseball coming up as well. And of course, we got the NIT as the Red Wolves are playing tonight. We'll recap that for you tomorrow. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. You've been watching Locked On Sun Belt, your team every day. Have a great day, everybody.